Hey there, this is Team UniteUs and we hope you enjoy our project presentation. Team UniteUs is a student group composed of Hannah Arnett, a senior in web programming and design, and Skylar Belt, a senior in user experience design. Skylar's skills include in-depth researching and identifying insights to design a solution to a problem. He's contributed to projects for companies like Hewlett-Packard and OmniViz. Hannah's skills include front-end development, where she designs and develops customer-facing digital products. She has experience creating websites and graphic designs for multiple organizations and developing emails for LendingTree. Today we will be talking about our senior capstone project, including the problem we attempted to solve, what we did to try to solve it, and our results. We can answer any questions, comments, and concerns at the conclusion of our presentation. Okay, let's start off by discussing why this project is important. What problem is it trying to solve and how? There are less than 1,000 Black students enrolled at Purdue. With roughly 50,000 students, they make up less than 2% of the student body. In the past year or two, Purdue has become much more focused on diversity and inclusion on campus. The university set a goal to double the amount of Black students enrolled within the next 5 years. Keep in mind, though, that's still just about 2,000 Black students. Team UniteUs seeks to help Purdue achieve this goal through our senior capstone project. So how can we, as just two normal students, help Purdue enroll more Black students? We had the privilege of interviewing with several current Black students to learn about their thoughts, opinions, and experiences at Purdue. We identified common themes of what was discussed in these interviews. An overarching theme that we noticed is they feel Purdue lacks a welcoming environment for Black students. They struggle to find resources, especially within the Black community. They felt isolated from their white classmates and professors, and because there are so little of them on campus, they struggle to connect with one another. These are just a few of many struggles these students reported. One student made this statement about Purdue, saying, "If you're someone who wants to get through college and get an education without worrying about associating with other Black people, then you'd be fine here." They are implying that Purdue is not meant for Black students who wish to connect with others of their own race. From these insights, Team UniteUs decided that our goal is to help Purdue build an improved community for Black students, to provide a more social environment for them. We're hoping our deliverables will help us do this. This semester, we focused on 3 deliverables: completing a research-focused case study, designing, developing, and testing a mobile app prototype, and we will give Purdue 3 recommendations that we think will help Purdue enroll more Black students in the future based on our research insights. Our client for this project is Renee Thomas, the Associate Vice Provost for the Diversity and Inclusion Office at Purdue. We also received a ton of help from Juanita Kreider of the Black Cultural Center. We are very appreciative of their support in this project. In this presentation, we will present to you our high-fidelity prototype. This is a mobile app that works on Android devices and is about 85% complete with limited functionality.
So here is our high-fidelity app being shown on an Android device. This is a sign-in page which students would come to once they actually launch and load the app. So our idea with this is that since this would be a Purdue app, students are encouraged to sign in using their Purdue career account. So when they sign in, they would have the push notification, Duo Mobile, and all of their information would just automatically be sent to the app. Or you could also continue as a guest. However, you would only be able to do and see some things rather than have the full functionality like as if you were signed in. So for this demonstration, we will be signing in, and let's just pretend that there was a push notification and everything. So here's the homepage. Again, this is an app for Black students, so the homepage is really meant to show what is upcoming, what is trending in the community, and anything of the sort. So starting out here, we have a sliding news banner that would show all the local news that are related to the community. Of course, these are just placeholder news articles just to show the functionality. You'd also be able to see more news articles and actually read individual news articles under the news tab shown on this button here. However, We don't have that developed out, we only have it designed out. We also have a mentorship program. That is one of the main functions of our app. It's one of the three recommendations we have for Purdue that we are heavily recommending them to implement for this community. And another button here, the third one, is community goals. And this is one of those ideas that we got from our secondary research on how to build community, in which we would be encouraging the Black community of Purdue to set goals, and that would really try to get students involved to meet these goals. So like, for example, if the Black Cultural Center had a fundraiser for a specific cause, then students would be able to come to this page here. It's not currently developed out, but they would be able to come to the page and see the progress on it, see what it's about, and that sort of thing. Another idea that we had for building community is a discussion of the week. So this would be changed out every week. It could be a quote, a question, an image, anything of the sort that would really help start a conversation within students. So if we press this contribute button, that would take you to the discussion page where you would be able to add your own comment, or you'd be able to see what other students have said. You'd be able to like or dislike their comments and interact with them or reply back to them. Back on the home page, we have an upcoming events section. So I will talk about this more later, but we do have a social resource category section in the app where you'd be able to see all the upcoming events and such. So this would just be pulling the 3 upcoming events, and the view more events button would take you to that page where you could see all of the events. And likewise, the top chats is the same function. So this, within the app, one of the main functionalities of it would be a chat thread, a chat form. And so inside the chat form, this would be pulling like the top trending chats that have like the most comments or the most likes or dislikes or anything of the sort. And you'd also be able to see all the chats that would take you to the chat form button here, using the button. And then another idea we had, this is just an example placeholder content here, but we think having a Twitter feed would also be a great idea just to see what's going on in the community. So if somebody tweeted something, or if an important figure in the community tweeted something, then it would be really great to add that to the homepage here. So now I will introduce you to the main menu of the app. This is basically introducing you to all of the main functions that this app would offer and you'd be able to navigate to. So the top 3 functions we have for the app are browse resources, a chat form, and a mentorship program, and I will introduce you to each of them one by one, starting with browse resources. So the browse resources is basically, we try to go as broad as possible with this, but we try to include just any resource category that makes up a community. So this would include both Purdue-focused resources as well as the greater Lafayette, West Lafayette community. So for example, with food, you'd be able to see the local businesses, like both on campus and also Black-owned restaurants and such. And likewise, you'd also be able to see the same with the other categories. Purdue programs is a category where you would be able to see what sort of programs Purdue offers for Black students or anything that would be helpful to the community. And all the categories will pretty much look the same appearance-wise. Social is slightly different, which I will show you. In this demonstration, I will specifically show you shopping and social. So with shopping, it's the same concept as with the food. You'd be able to see all the Black-owned shopping-related businesses in the area, and it would show you all the same information as if you were to see these businesses on Google. So like their reviews, how far away they are from your current location, and everything of the such. That would be important to know. So for example, if you wanted to view a specific store, in this example, we'll go to Walmart. that'll take you to the individual resource page, and you'd be able to find all the same information, their contact information. You could go to their website, directions, call straight through the app. And one idea we had for this function of the app is to sort each resource using categories. A lot of these resources can overlap in the categories, so it would be a great idea for a resource to be able to be found in multiple categories. So in this case, Walmart, it would be shopping, food, and services. And that's just a good way to organize and search for things and find things better. And if you were to tap one of these resource buttons, for example, if you tap shopping, it would take you back to the browse shopping page. Or if you tapped services, it would take you back to the services page. And I also want to show you the social category. This is basically like an app form of Boiler Link. This will show you all the official Purdue registered organizations, Greek life, events, anything of the sort that you would be able to find on Boiler Link, specifically for the Black community. So, for example, if you wanted to look at a specific organization, like the Black Student Union, you'd be able to pull up all the same information here in the app as you would be able to in Boiler Link. So you'd be able to see the description, how many members are there. You'd even be able to see who specifically is registered in the organization if it's made public, just like you would on Boiler Link. You'd be able to find the contact information and anything important that's relevant, including the upcoming events that the organization is hosting. And another cool feature that we have for this app is that you'd be able to directly message an organization. And our idea with this is the leadership of each organization would be controlling the messages. So it wouldn't just be anybody in the group being able to message you. It would only be those that are in leadership positions in the organization. Likewise, if you were to view an event, you'd be able to see the same sorts of important information, such as the time and location, a short little description, just like you would on Boiler Link, and you'd also be able to register for the event directly through the app. So the next place I want to take you is the chat forum. So this is the second major component of the app. This is basically a catch-all for conversation within the community. So if anyone had an announcement, if they wanted to ask a question, if they just wanted to find people for some sort of activity. An example we had is somebody looking for a group to play basketball with. You'd be able to make your own chat thread if you wanted to. You type in your title, the body of the thread, and you would also be able, it's optional, but the user would be able to also assign categories to their thread so that it's easily findable by other users. And it's completely optional, but also recommended just for organizational purposes. So say you started a thread, but you decided you didn't want to post anything, you'd press the X button and you would pop up this window and press yes. That'll take you back to the chat forum page. Or if you do type everything in, and of course, if this app was completely finalized, there would be some sort of form that would verify that all the required elements are correctly inputted. Then you would be able to publish, and your post would be published to the chat forum. So say if you wanted to interact with a specific chat thread, then you'd be able to press on one of these boxes back here, and it would open up the thread. You'd be able to comment on the thread, interact with other people's comments, like or dislike. You'd be able to reply. You'd also be able to like and dislike the chat thread itself. And of course, you'd be able to see those categories if the author decided to assign categories to their chat thread. And another feature that we had, which would have to be developed out a little bit more, but in this example, you'd be able to bookmark a thread. And back on the chat forum page, if you were to filter or sort, you'd be able to find threads that you specifically bookmarked. Lastly, the third huge component of this app, it's one of the main 3 recommendations we have for Purdue to implement that would try to help to enroll more Black students and make them feel more welcome on campus, would be a mentorship program. So our idea with this is that if you are a freshman, a lot of time it's hard to find resources, find friends, make connections with people, and really navigate campus and college life. So having an upperclassman, somebody older than you who's experienced with these things, it can be really helpful. And so our idea with this is that there would be a mentorship program specifically for Black students on campus. Freshmen would be able to have an alumni mentor or an upperclassman student based on their choosing, and they would be able to really just have the mentor for any purpose that they would need to, whether that's for class registration or career advice or anything of the sort. So in order to get started, freshmen are pretty much heavily recommended or required to take a personality quiz. So just like with the campus housing, where you take a quiz to find roommates that best match your preferences, it would be the same way with the mentorship program. You take a personality quiz, and that way the freshmen would be able to be paired with mentors that best match them and their specific needs, preferences, personality, etc. Freshmen also have the option to request specific mentors who are available, aka they do not already have a freshman that they are mentoring, and they'd be able to find specific available mentors using this mentors button. There would be a database that have all the registered mentors who are available, and you'd be able to search for either students or alumni. So if we search for alumni, you would be required to input an industry that you would want this alumni to work in or be related to. So in this example, we would have user experience design, and this would pull up all the alumni mentors that match those inputs that you put in. So in this example, let's click on my name, and you'd be able to directly message a mentor and get to know them better. Another idea that we had with this, that we don't have it implemented yet, but we will be recommending to Purdue, is that students will have suggested conversation starters. The app will suggest conversation starters, like because it can get intimidating to know what to say when you are first reaching out to a mentor. So the app would have several different sentences or anything like, hey, how are you, sort of thing, to kind of help encourage the freshman user to interact with the mentors. Likewise, if they were to search for a student, they'd be required to put in a major. So in this case, again, user experience design. And similarly, you can press my name as a student, and you'd be able to directly message the student.
Now we will briefly walk you through how we got to our final solution. All 3 of our deliverables were dependent on our research. Here is a timeline for our senior capstone. Half of the semester was spent on research, and the second half was spent on app development and testing. We've already discussed the project setup previously, so let's dive right into the rest. One of our main goals for our research was to learn more about Black students on campus. What do they want in their community, and what do they like? We wanted to have students directly contribute to our mobile app prototype through a co-design, which is a research method where students engage in activities and discussions that help us discover possible design outcomes that align with our goals. Unfortunately, we were unable to complete a co-design, but we did receive great insight through secondary research, concept feedback from students, surveys, and one-on-one interviews. Most of our app concepts aligned with our secondary research on how to foster a community, and students were very accepting of our ideas. This research and feedback helped us build a solid foundation for designing and developing our app. The initial steps of designing our app prototype involved concept sketches, a sitemap, a user flow map, and a style guide. We wanted the style guide to closely follow Purdue's, but with aspects of the Black Cultural Center mixed in as well, like the red and green colors. The app concepts we thought of originated from our interview insights as well as secondary research on how to strengthen communities. We had many ideas to consider for this app, but we decided to only focus on a few. However, these first steps were very helpful for development later on. We used a mix of old-fashioned pen on paper, Miro, and Figma to complete these steps. Next, Skylar developed our wireframe, which was used as building blocks for further development. This helped us organize our content and finalize our ideas for the app's functions and structure. The entire prototype is not shown here, but a few screens are selected to show our work. Skylar used Sketch to build this prototype. Once we tested our low-fidelity prototype and made some small changes, I further developed our prototype. This time the style guide was implemented with specially chosen fonts, colors, and icons. This step was critical for us to better make the jump from images to our high-fidelity, limited functionality mobile app prototype. We also tested this prototype before moving on to our high-fidelity prototype that will actually work on an Android device. We will now talk about our measures of success. At the end of it all, it's critical that we determine if the senior capstone project was successful. For the most part, we measured our success based on the feedback we received from the Black community of Purdue, including our client. We've shown the app prototypes to faculty, staff, and students at the Black Cultural Center, and everyone had great things to say about the app and the opportunities it could bring to the community. Our usability and concept testing results were also mostly positive, minus a few small changes needed along the way. We also assessed if our final deliverables met our project goals set to help us solve our problem. Through our client's approval, hitting project goals, and positive feedback, we will confidently be able to say that this project is a success. However, the best case scenario is that Purdue will take interest in our solution and implement some or even all of our project concepts. Skylar and I learned a lot from this project. We are a group of 2 people trying to tackle a huge and complex problem with our senior capstone project. We were heavily reliant on one another, and from this we exercised many of our interpersonal skills, including communication, flexibility, and conflict management. We also actively sought to learn new tools to complete our deliverables. Skylar learned how to use Sketch, a great design tool for user experience designers, and I personally learned a great deal about mobile app development. I learned an entirely new programming language and style of development in order to make the high-fidelity prototype work on an Android device. All in all, both of us can proudly add this to our portfolio as a great learning experience. Thank you so much for listening to our final senior capstone presentation. We hope that you enjoyed learning about our project. Please let us know if you have any questions.